caught the prostate cancer early, and so this seems to be early, even though it seems to have raised alarms. But
Well, it's good they caught it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of interesting. It's, my older brother is a doctor. He does internal medicine and infectious disease. So he's not. I mean, he knows a little bit about oncology and stuff, but and he actually, well, not exactly ridicules, but he PSA. Don't even bother paying attention to that stuff because it's too variable. Be high one time, 2 weeks later it's really low. Too variable, you can't really rely on it. But if you haven't gotten blood tests for the PSA, it would never known it was at 28. And then next week it was at 32. You know, it's like, so what does that indicate? I mean, it's all, the PSA is prostate-related antigen, and it just migrated to this other spot. And if we played it like my older brother did,
Right.
you know, what would it be in a year? Maybe then I'd be in a wheelchair or something. Right. You know? So it's like,
Looks good he's not gone home.
yeah. Right. Yeah, so, you know, at least we can, at least we know, or at least we have a good guess, a good, you know, idea of what how it got there and what it is, and, you know, plausible way that it tracked, that it, time sequence. So, yeah, so, I hope so. It'd be great. It'd be good to go to Germany. And yeah, I haven't done anything about Kentucky. So I don't know, you know, it's too.
I'm not able to, I predict my schedule that far out now.
I can't. Yeah, I don't want to lay dibs on a spot and then have to say,
Right.
can't do it.
Right.
Whoever said was, you know, stopped from registering, can't go.
Right. That sounds like they're getting close to capacity.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be good. It would be good to go. But,
Caché de George Sampaki Lung Shubare com ninguém gosta.
No, I'm good. It's green. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. In your prayer book, turn to page 5, and we'll begin this afternoon's session. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Dage jin so gi be so nam kien drola pe sangye drupa sho. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Page 7. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. Whatever merit I've gathered through prostrations, offerings, confessing, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, All this I dedicate. Sashi Pujo Shoshin Meto Rira Lingsi Nyede Genpade Sangye Singla Mikte Buwaye Nyoga Bunda Shindu Ngewa Shoy Chaksa Wadam Jojin Shapadam Jesu Iran Kushin Solwaye Gewa Jose Dagi Jisaba Adam Jezobe Changjo Jino. And to page 16. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings. Samjad Namge Sampada Loye Jidra Jitawa Jejo Togmo Tekbaye Choke Kolo Korduso. Good afternoon. Can you start thanking us? Takare, ombonga, ombonga. Ta ombonga ke benata tandadi karsa ombonga dala tebek ombo, zonduk ombo, tinginzik ombo. Tene herab ambo stati tindiji nyamle chiungbi ne kaula tene
So then in terms of the 37 factors of enlightenment, we talked about the 4 applications of mindfulness. Then the next 4 authentic things to abandon, ways to authentically abandon. Then there are the 4 legs of miraculous powers. And then we are at the 5 powers and also talked about the 5 strengths. So the 5 powers are faith, diligence, mindfulness, concentration, or we could say meditative absorption. And then the 5th is wisdom or knowledge.
Right. Terawa ta thambo te nga ambong nga rawa. La imba.
Lapso.
Ta ambong nga ti gana ta jik ta meng thonda ji war da ambong nga to top nga ji war rawa. Ina ta top nga ti gawla. Tene kun nupa ji lebu yo sarwa. Ben theba ji thebek top lebu tene theba ta jurwa me wan raw ji. 대중구도와 아테네 지츠밀레 기타난 고 어지 요리 디나라테네 타망고마데네 다 마르바다 통사로와 이나 마르바 통사리 이나 디지엘레테네 고랑게다 지 검지암나 똑바지 지용비 까블라 테네 다 드르게마 마르베 와나 요로와 말베드 와나 요리 얘나다 다다직 나나 가와라스 와한테 단다직 나나 찌발라스 되네 땅 앞에는 뭐 갈세 그러지 난 부바지 등가 드린 부야 히라 요 말에 강요거든요 부사리스 세두 갈세는 다 대바 땜보지 들지요로와 얘네 영원에 대바다 요래 갈세 당봉 골은 고 주드네 Kumaladepa, Maladebe, Karsena, Marbe, Kari, Chilavna, even though he can sacrifice the body. Yena young, Karsena to do Tadum Tebe topped, Levius of Tebekta, Goni Tebek Karsegota, your Mevaji. Levius Amara.
So then after the 5 powers, there are the 5 strengths. In
this Norse, Tambote Terwa, Tambote Ombonga, Teba, Tinitijil Topnga, Jilin Saro.
Really?
Or I left, okay.
Lapkidu.
Okay.
So the 5 powers in Tibetan are Wangpo Nga, and the 5 strengths in Tibetan are Tok Nga. So in English, power and strength are kind of like equal terms. But like in Tibetan, we're talking about, we could say 5 super strengths. The emphasis is on the strengths being like a little better and extra. And so for both of them, they're called faith, diligence, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. So these consist of like 10 total of those 37 factors of enlightenment. And so we might wonder, what is the difference between these 5, basic powers and then the 5 super strengths? And the difference is that the power of, for example, faith, when we are developing it, it is kind of, we have some faith, but it's not indestructible, unmovable. But at the time it becomes a super strength, then that faith is unshakable and cannot be stopped. And so Milarepa sang in one of his songs, this was after Marpa had passed away. And so he meditated and he gave rise to realization, and he was thinking about the empowerment he had received from Marpa. And at that time, in his meditation, Milarepa talked about, now I, rejoice in that opportunity to receive that empowerment. Now I feel, wonderful about having that. And we might wonder, what is that? And it was because Milarepa finally had unshakable, indestructible faith in, Marpa's nature. And so it wasn't that in the beginning Milarepa didn't have faith. Milarepa actually had like legendary faith, where he was willing to sacrifice his body and do whatever Marpa said and go through all kinds of hardships. But Milarepa didn't have that indestructible faith that is born from his own realization until later. And so that is kind of like, that illustrates this kind of second level, this super strength of faith.
Oda tenayi ta tene kochikwarwa tene tega nayi nga zondu zamba dang tene chik ta to tene ta ta peje indeksar ta ti hyugla nga zo ta changchobin la dun res ta changchobin la dun te ha chikware ta pena cha sha na da na nga zo chi ordinarily nga zo chemba dang higi dang tene tene ji yore ti yin yang ta ta mandre we ke ta temba yang ta bi chang job ji yala sta pena temba korang la ta jun pe da korang temba rang korang de ne tho ba pena chang job lam sen da sang ji kong ba ra wa tin di kin la 대가 나 이게 추럽도 넘버는 집이 그선다 다 대중도 추럽도 넘버는 집 봐서도 다 계산으로 이나 다 가서 개와 다 대과당 락뱅원에 지 시기 요르와 베널리 준데로 이나 지다 대개와리 인데메개와리 세야다고 지 락뱅원에 가서 단다양 신기 요르와 얘네 양고 협찬으로 지 섬다나 레직도와 싸기거래 벤송으로 지 휴위나 벤능아서 컨트롤로 지 라위나다 지 컨트롤 라마데 메게와레인도다 드니 좀 마타베게 다 디게 고 잡종 코랑라지 컨트롤 디 벤나머 랑칸 강사지나 디기 가세스 라요 바 데리 마서 디기 레 칸디지 쏘고요 버와 레 칸디지 체진도 다 디테일 코랑 빼 마음발 칸디지 텔레코다 레디 킨디오 칸디지 용고요 대단냠도 지바리 게베촌도 지나 벤는 1 second 오지 랑가서 지 메지레 제와 저와 양메지레 참바 tinday chiwe kitani tindewa kandiji yunguyo da oda zo sama tene chik ta ti kitani hingiyo sarwa
So then what follows after the 5 higher levels of strength are known as the 7 elements of enlightenment, or we could say the seven branches of enlightenment. And so some of these are the same. We have mindfulness, we have what we could say discernment of phenomena, diligence, joy, pliancy, samadhi, or the same word for concentration in the previous one. And then the 7th is equanimity. And so some of these are similar to the 5 powers and 5 strengths. However, these are on a whole kind of more deeper level. For example, mindfulness here is not just, basic mindfulness or even kind of a higher level of very careful mindfulness, but it is a mindfulness of being aware of being on the path of enlightenment at all times. So these are the 7 branches of enlightenment. So this mindfulness is not just like kind of very detailed mindfulness, a careful mindfulness, but it is aware of enlightenment at all times. Then there is what is called the discernment of phenomena. And so earlier on the path, we can know the difference between what is virtuous, what is non-virtuous. We can have some basic understanding of karma and our actions and their results on kind of a gross level. But here, within the context of the 7 elements of enlightenment, we're talking about a very subtle awareness, this discernment of phenomena. For example, when we give rise to anger at this level, not only would we be aware that we are angry, but we would have a detailed understanding of the karmic result of getting mad at a specific person at a specific time, and then the very specific results that will follow and ensue from that negative, non-virtuous anger. On the other side, in terms of virtue, we would also know that even for a single second of having love or compassion for other beings, we would know, be able to see the very detailed, positive results of that karma. And so at this level, in relationship to our path towards enlightenment, there is, this kind of a whole other level of refinement.
Also, karma is interesting, though. That's something that's that karma, mula controlaya, simchensaya. That is what you know what I could heavy karma, which you don't know. Most tongue or tendo with Yoruba. Tangashi the young Tonya Shada Major Roa. Tom Matobia, and so keep the Kishida, you somebody Nila young, ko Nepa Chimbutini, Yungu Saris. Tinu to Zungo, that Karina Gavainari, Dipainari, could near on 2 ton. Reda, been subject, object, time, the object gantini, young could depaching Bay Saris. But then Gashi Dipape Chimborism, Chunjung in Bondo. We thinking ordinarily thinking what these co-hands are depachambos also some young, behands are Dipachung Chandra. Or that is not big deal, some Sandawola, young, Dipachambo Chandra at the year Saris.
So karma is very subtle. And for example, maybe we, see others do, very negative activities like kill others, and, we see that, oh, of course, you're going to have some terrible karma because you've done, that, and they experience, immediate negative consequences and stuff. But sometimes we don't see, and we might think, oh, well, maybe they kind of got away with it, and it's not that big of a deal. However, when we think this way and we're not aware of karmic results, this could be a very big problem. There's many different ways that karma takes place and ripens and so forth, depending on the subject, the object, the time frame, and so forth. And so sometimes we might think, oh, look at what that person did. That's like so bad. What a horrible negative, deed that person did. And really, in the grand scheme of things, it's maybe not that negative, even though, temporarily it looks very bad. On the other hand, we might see something or do something and we think, oh, that's not that big of a deal. Just a little, minor, little mistake there. But actually, it can be a tremendously negative action that has grave consequences. And so karma in this way is very subtle, and we're not always aware of it.
So yeah, the different, this, I said subject, object, and the time and motivation. So that's one story. So this, I have the 3 uncles, they are 3 brothers. And then, so the 2 brothers used to monk. One is just lay people. So, of course, they're during the cultural revelation, so the difficulty time. So the lay, my uncle, he protect to the 2 brothers. So protect means, so they give the jobs. So time to time, we said, so like all the community work, so okay, so today's we kind of like kill the animal for meat, right? So then the government order, okay, each person. So actually we did that as 2 people, I think 2 people, right? 2 people have to kill the 4 heaps, take off the skin, make the whatever this. So did that job, So, but the lay uncle, so he just quickly killed like the 3 times more he killed, right? So because he protected this, his brother. And then not only that, so that time is not enough food, you know. So he do the hunting, so animals for the meat and so on. So seems to be looks like he's really doing like bad things, right? Well, maybe he's stealing too, I think, because there's not enough food, you know. So maybe daytime he stealing the yaks, and maybe nighttime killed, you know. So those things. So that's I don't know. I don't have the clear ones, but the evidence. So then I was there. One uncle he passed. His monk, you know. So, but he didn't kill animals so on. So he looks clean, you know. But he died. He's really not special. Just he died. He said he died. So, and after that, so this lay uncle, he died. I was there too. So then he's sick, of course, you know. Then later on, he knows when he died. So what he want, you know, kind of really free. And then he passed with the meditation. So I said the motivation, he looks like externally he's hunting, stealing, killing, and so on. So that's, I think, mainly is the how you work the sub-clinging, you know. So if no sub-clinging, he forsake of whatever he's doing for family, brother, and so on. So that's, I think, so that's why the less the negatives. I think maybe even though not like negatives, you know. 제가 나기다 대여로 나도 참례양 대여다 잘라 단다디다 나도 부다 love story 라 뭐뭐여로 배낭 가서 단달라 임바 subject object 세야 배낭 가서 object 기네 잘라 텐디 테네 나도 community 잘라 배주 제하라고 다 테네 지 community 잘라라 꼬마자로야라고 다 테네 양지 다 careless 노로 다디 나랑 한바 말에 나랑 말에 단디 베나 monastery samban도 근데 요비나 근데 항상 빅바치 데 가르세고다 가서 occasional 헬라고도 달리지에 그래 슬라고도
Which hell?
occasional 가르데 occasional 가르데
Occasional.
여러분 야 occasional 헬 여러분 얘기로와 여러분 니체 말해봐
Nyetse.
Yeah, the tap to the door, or tap to the consciousness, tap to the broom, or pillar, what called this the hell is
Yeah, Injigela Pachis.
I don't know this.
Nyetse.
Yeah, I think not Nyetse Nyeko, but I think occasional hell, I think.
Nitse with nyawa. Day life, hell, ephemeral.
Yeah. Oda tendo kanda main karina kanda tindi tanga tuti dungi nyang yori sta nyarwa malam digdo pena choranke pena gomba do te sanje tongdo wa sanje kitene pena ota de gomba re gombe kawari se community kawari lamna kawase ta ti pillar do wa te zola pe naptu do chu zangma china tene ko kawachi yo sarwa tene hechu chini pena broom do ta pe yo broom do da stop for your tap go thang ka wa tap ka thang song do tene go to zola ta go that thing around go mare samne de monastery go re community kita do re do te careless china tene tindi la tene pa tap chin dungi nyang yo res o tene ta party ne pe chung chung ro wa ko not big deal right wa but nge di community ji brom ji use china tene just looks like nothing, right? But
So, yeah, in terms of subject, object, time, motivation, in terms of like karma and the results, there are there's a lot of subtlety, and in some of the Buddha's life stories, and this, of the time of the Buddha and so forth, we might not think that certain actions have a lot of negative consequence, but sometimes when they're related to an entire community, for example, there's particular fault, it is said, when people misuse things related to like a monastery. And so, or like if you steal from a monastery, or you're careless with things in a monastery. And, some people might think, oh, well, it's not a big deal. It's not my stuff. So it's just, the monastery's things, and, it'll be fine. And so, people might be careless. But in the stories, for example, somebody would be careless with like a broom or like, a stove top, like the top of a, old stove. And, something would happen to those things. And the result of that is that they are born in hell, like a certain type of hell where their consciousness is like trapped inside an object, like maybe inside that broom or inside that stovetop. And they experience this hellish existence because of the negative consequence of being careless about, a virtuous community's activities. And so normally, if somebody just kind of like sweeps, with a broom, and is kind of a little careless with the broom, or, doesn't use the stove right or something, it's not that, we wouldn't think it's, particularly bad. But this just goes to show that, there's different contexts with how karma ripens.
Thì cái năng gì lâu đó, ta ngắt cái cái yang mới là khát đang rồi thì nhiều rồi. Để phát triển bộ đấy, ta mới chỉ là có một đủ bộ đấy đâu làm năng ngắt mất thì một đủ bộ đấy làm việc thì yếu thì hạ không mà rồi, chứ chỉ là chẳng cho什么意思cái rồi. Không xong xem chuyện gì để để chơi wa, làm đó, chẳng cho什么nằm nó có rồi đáp. Không xong xem chuyện gì để để chơi cái đấy làm đó, chẳng cho什么gì là, ngón này chẳng cho什么authentic chẳng cho什么gì là. telling to be do bore ko ji chi do ko me chi do lam na han sa de pa chen bor ka sen ko chang cho sa ma cha ta ro ko la non tu kan yo ma ro o ta ti so na pa di be chung chung yi ban ro la ya chen bo cha no ya sa is.
So another thing, we have to be careful when we speak ill, speak badly about other people. It can be an incredible fault, actually. People just go around, we like talk about everybody, and if we say that the wrong person is bad, then it could be that they're really a bodhisattva. And so maybe, we really don't know, who we're talking about. And so if we despise, put down and tell others, disparage a bodhisattva to other people, it is said that the sin of disparaging a bodhisattva, speaking ill about a bodhisattva, is worse than killing all the sentient beings in the universe.
Maybe that's not true, right?
So,
but the reason is the object. So like bodhisattvas, so there is like they're not false, the hair of the sides, like so that's why this kind of big deal, So yes, of course, like better we can, something fall and then we say fall. They're negatives, but they are false, right? So, but it's the bodhisattvas. There are no faults, completely, purifying. So there we, through the ignorance, or did those things. So that is the object, so we have to be careful too. And also I think clarification, so mainly is that is the community things. Even the small, broom or whatever, their house. So sort of like we those things I think Dharma practitioners really sometimes careful too, so, oh, this is not mine, so like about motivation. So, like about attitude, oh, okay, this is not mine, just, okay, broken, okay. Or something, or this not my place, this not, okay to this, not clean, and sort of things. And also this my stuff, not my stuff, just kind of, not my broom he used, or sort of little bit, so anyway, so those are this little bit. So anyway, so this here coming back to the Changchop Yinla Du Wata, Tesono Winatini, detail how Kugres, never ever Kokarsenata, mistake Chimaris, Kokarteta, Hakugrua, Carsen, consequences, Kariungu.
So, if we have, these 7 elements for enlightenment, and have the second of this was the discernment of phenomena. If we have this capacity, then we will never, make mistakes, because we will understand the consequences of positive and negative actions in detail.
다 대가 나 이처럼 다 존주로와 다 존주텔라 가서 다 계단 존주 요래 ordinarily we 존주 요래 디 존주인데 남주 칸라고 해서 나도 종강게 와도 종강게라도 손들테네 뭐네 직접 받지 알아 벤 joyful 되는지 연구요 살아와 authentic.
So, then the third, so of these 7 elements of enlightenment, it's mindfulness, discernment of phenomena. The third is diligence. And so here, this diligence is, really authentic diligence, in the sense that it is said that the highest form of diligence is taking joy in, making effort. And so this is the kind of diligence when, one enjoys, doing virtuous activities.
대가 나 가와리다. 다 갈세는 그 얘기를 디 든디제기야 냠도 바지 유디다 제야도 삼아고 지당도 삼하고 그렇고 암스틱라와 든디인데 no matter 가두이나 되 joyful 다 든디지 요사리스.
So then, when we are aware of, the subtlety of karma and able to avoid even the smallest mistake and adopt all kinds of even small virtues, then at all times, then there is this joy, which is the fourth of these 7 elements for enlightenment.
대가 나이다 힘장 당긴 같은 지라로와 다 힘장 톱소나 되네 지 곰로 가시 잠나 자토비야 가시 디나 디토비야 다 되네지 용구요래 힘도 정바라와 힘장 써야 돼.
So then, the fifth one of these, some say pliancy. We could also say extremely refined and supple. And so the mind, if we get to this stage, then whenever we meditate, then the mind it's so flexible and refined that it will focus without wavering from that object of meditation.
다 디교라 당뇨래 다 당뇨들라 갈라고 그러시나 나저 배나 차샤나 대송도와 배나
Ting isn't?
알레다 딜라 당뇨래 차샤면도 당뇨 골라나 당뇨들라 카리슬라비나 되네 배나 조반직 ten송공도 오이나 되네 공탄다다 타마데 공직 자움베 까라 되네 닌지지에로와 닌지지리다 디가나 네데와지 다 참상 가서도 ordinary나 야 닌지디스지 야 되네 아 삼노심바지 야 파로 초로 때모고 때네 독말와 일단 디 감다 오이나 되네 다 고지 닌지 강라지 네기 당본 닌지 강라 고 레버트 랩나 어다 디효레 땡인지로와 다 지고나 오차
So then we have, the sixth and seventh are meditative absorption and equanimity. And so here, Jigten Sungam, for example, sometimes when we meditate on compassion, maybe we have a little compassion for some beings sometimes, but it kind of like comes and goes, and maybe it's not, completely, all-encompassing and so forth. But for Jigten Sungam, when Jigten Sungam had compassion, it is this all-pervasive compassion, equal, for all beings. And so this is an example of the sixth and seventh, the meditative absorption and equanimity.
다 디휴레트네 다 타마테 라스트들이다 팔라미나 지 이러와.
So then the last 8 factors of the 37 factors of enlightenment are known as the Noble Eightfold Path.
That looks like kind of similar to it. Tene da tawarawa. Da tawa tela karsena da jatan tawa tenjungre. Da zoosena tandanga da jik chaja chimbuke senari jik derwa setong sungju nangdong sungju. Owa da tendi getene tawa tene da dogoyo sarwa. Yina da zoo ti kabla da tawa ti ka tola neung be kabla da ko jik dangzi se ya da koram pe zabanne de mewan ro tene.
So then the first of these is the correct or authentic view. And so when we talk about the view in Buddhism, then one kind of central aspect of this is the view of how everything is interdependent. And then also kind of on a deeper level, in the teachings on the view is of how everything is ultimately Mahamudra, the great seal, the inseparable union of appearance and emptiness, luminosity and emptiness. And so, ultimately, the most important thing to understand with the authentic, correct view is that the authentic view recognizes the selflessness of ourselves and things.
어디가 나 이때 다 티슈로 똑바래. 다 똑바세네 지가서다 똑바 띵인지. 뭐다 띵인지 티가나더니 지다 띵인지다. 게다 혈압 송돈 줘봐. 송래다 띵인지 때더니 지 띵인지 가나지. 내용도 드니 디네 대비 디 토네. 드니 지다고 혈압 그 배다 람광다고 트이네와. 띵인지 디 고샘 가원 내기요나 텔레네네 디기다 니시 윤도 그 혈압 토치 바틀라데네 똑바라고 해서
Yandakpe
똑바
Tokpa. Karanki hakoala de ratatata naro to gasa tok? Or nam toki tok?
또는 똑같 또 있어요. 가사에서 말이죠.
Uh-huh. So then here there is the second is authentic or correct intention or sometimes thinking. And so when we have this union of our concentration together with wisdom or knowledge, authentic knowledge of how things are, then our thinking is unerring. We see things correctly.
대에 다들 양타병아 스타 양타병아 아주 당가 저지 ordinarily 나종아 메게와 텐디 요러와 오다 텐디 요르티나다 디가라 테네 당가 양타비 그 나들라 테네 메게와 텐디 요사마레스.
So then the third is correct or authentic speech. And so normally our speech is corrupted with non-virtue. And when we instead practice correctly or authentically in the Dharma path, then we have correct speech, which is free from non-virtue.
tene tiga na yi leje ta zongda te luji gone we tene megewa mewa ro tene isares.
So then the fourth is, we could say, correct action. And this essentially refers to how through our physical gateway of the body, we do not engage in any physical non-virtue.
Yina yang ta 참상 가서 megewa ro ji 통be yina yang tene ta tela ko megewa chagu yo samares.
So even for such beings, even though sometimes it might seem non-virtuous, if we see it, such practitioners at this level, it really isn't non-virtuous.
So like a teloba, right? So teloba he fishing, you know. So and another story, this I think the Drupa Kulek, the one Kezi yogi in the Tibet. So there this he went to Zhang, I think he went somewhere. So it's sort of like upper Tibet. But he was first time he's there, I don't know. So he said, kind of I think there is sort of like a tax, right? Pay the tax. So that time pay the tax is not really like here pay tax in money here, right? But that time it's not. So sometimes they have to pay tax for meat or cheese or some whatever butter. So one time, I think maybe Malari, so this the Dupakula lived there, so he didn't pay the tax. You know, have to pay meat, you know. So then, so one day Dupakula there, so then this kind of local leader knows, so then they invite him, so you have to pay the tax. So, okay, yeah, I can do that, no problem. So then he collected to the wild animals, I don't know, like 50 or 20. So, okay, here, just meat, you know. He said, no, we need meat, not like those animals. So, oh, okay, no problem. Then he just chopped her up, you know, just killed her. And then they said, okay, here the meat. So looks like nine virtues, right? But probably not. So then they said, locally, no, sorry. Oh, we mistake, you know. We don't want anything. Can you make these animals, what is live bake? Okay, yeah. Here's something prayer, like doing things. Animals learn way. So that's kind of like this labor, you know, this is nobody's, you know, that ordinary people cannot do that. But so this kind of this power, how we get the power, right? So I think we no longer attached, no longer subclinging. So there I think can do whatever, everything. So miracles or those things. And then no longer negativities. So even though it looks like doing things, as I said, right, Teloba, he's fishing, or some people like Saraha, you know, he used to monk, but then he's not monk, he drink, you know, so those are leveled kind of beyond. You know, Saraha said, right? What the Saraha said, 드링 가장 팬치 gelon means 오늘 진짜 가장 게 막 gelon로 봐. 드링 춘치 gelon is harchire 코랑 가장 gelon로 봐. 이나 다 드링 코 갈세나 다 change 동 코랑 제메제 테
So, Saraha. So the Mahasiddha Saraha basically said that, yesterday in the past, even though, it appeared like I was an ordained monk, I
Holy
wasn't. And today, hanging out, drinking alcohol, having sex, and so forth, it looks like I'm not a monk, but really I am.
오다 디누 고다디 돈다디 갈라고 그러잖아. 근데 다 거기서 참마다 다 근진베게 되네. 참 방산한테네. 지 추유들도 고직다 메르컬라고 나리 왕조원도 위해서 봐.
So ultimately, it was because in the past, Saraha still had self-clinging and hadn't developed full realization. But then later, he had ultimate realization, completely abandoning, grasping at the concept of a self.
다 디휴는 소화래 양답인 소화스.
So then, the fifth aspect is correct, of the fifth of the Noble Eightfold Path is correct livelihood.
다 디히는 것은 ordinarily 갈세나 다 가서지 survive 그러와 가서 총작이 요나래 칼라사기 요나래 다 간다 카리나 고 디스코 네거티비티 노지 요러와 이내 양다 디갑라 고지 소화들한테는 양타비 기타라지 롱초스도 지 텐디드니 요사마리스.
So, generally, so correct livelihood, of course, in general, when we engage in our careers and business and so forth, there's always, like, even if we have a basically virtuous lifestyle, there's some negativity involved, like subtle kind of negativity there. However, when we are practicing at this stage of, authentic, correct livelihood, then there is no negativity or non-virtue.
다 졸와서야 지바다 준두로와 다 준두양 타버요레스. 다 디갑라 다 디갑라 준두들라 다 콜레로서야 데 맹양메와 차로고 요서와 레로. 테네 띵인지 있어야 다 띵인지 키고 띵인지 남준다고 있는 가서 띵인지라 테네 다 힘내서 서로와 힘내게 다로 세나데 힘내게 다 가서 삼상 칭화요레 삼상 고바요레 삼상 무과요레 다다 만다요와 테네 저 요요에서 말했어 양타바이나.
아니 연락배 드렘파?
레다 델라 템바르베. 오양타베
디키
오케이.
드릭라 둠바 드렘파
템바르와 알레 오리 템바. 오다 템바르고나 지파레 고다 고 텐히 기제 신토그로와. 테네 쪼르바 랍사라와. 쪼르와 요르와. 쪼르바 지파다 존두로와. 쪼르바 세야도 존두레. 테네 오테다.
So then the last three in this, the sixth is correct effort. And so at this stage, correct effort is similar to correct, to what we were talking about with diligence earlier. And at this stage, there is no such thing as laziness. One is able to, apply oneself at all times. And so then there is correct mindfulness, where, one has, this unbroken mindfulness all the time. And then there is, the eighth is correct concentration, or correct meditative absorption. So then at this stage, normally in meditation, there are times where the mind can become dull or foggy when we meditate, even if we don't have a lot of gross thoughts and so forth. But at this stage, then, with correct, authentic concentration, there is no even slight dullness or fogginess in meditation.
So that take us then as a pomo carry yepa sala paba.
Rupongbo yon?
Yongba sala paba wada tike pomo yongba yepa ta sado yongba sala paba wada tike payong race change student.
So then, circling back, so this is what happens when you put your left knee on the ground.
Left knee is big thing, right?
When you prostrate, then these 37 factors of enlightenment, or 37 factors of enlightenment, you get this benefit.
Tene nga zada tobasa dugrowa. Tobasa du tangi katsanji shuni zamtene da katsa sanji kin zopa. Tene sensum soni nan tan zopa da zachin bo yizong tenju gres.
So then when we place our forehead on the ground, when we do a prostration, then this gives us like the blessing of the, what is called the urna, the hair tuft in between the eyes of the Buddha.
Tene da samsang gaso chatse labdu yangji choji didi da himbala chatse be so ro tene ro ji sam go yorwa. 상제 라 차체로다 이나야 다 조 차체 세야디 갈스는 가서 차체야디 가서 다든 짐바다 직마좀 되와 당지트 마직 차카디 세비나 당지트 마 핵번라고 직로와 드니라고 직 동의사레스.
So when we prostrate, a lot of people think that prostrations are like an act of bowing, that we are showing respect, to like appease the ego or someone else. So it's like this bowing, an act of reverence, revering something else. But ultimately, really, in this tradition, when we prostrate, it is a symbol of conquering our self-clinging, of conquering, like, destroying our ego grasping.
데다 차 세야 지다 세세야 스타 맹이 열와. 제타 차 해바들라 나저다 딕뎁 차상 창완로 지라 고기 열레스.
So the word for prostration has two syllables in Tibetan. And it's kind of like, one is chak, which is honorific for like hands, and then tsel is kind of like gesture in a way. And so hands, this first syllable, chak, here, it also can mean kind of like it has like a deeper meaning. And the deeper meaning is that it is purifying all our negative deeds and obscurations
from the body, speech, mind.
from the body, speech, and mind.
Tenen tse sidu ta jebare. Ta jebare de ngaso laba som ki yonten to chamala teni jebe ki thonda res.
Jesana.
Increasing sanje no.
Sanje, So then, the word for the second syllable of a prostration is this term that is called tsel, which essentially is a word that here it represents the increase of the blossoming of the three trainings. And so it is kind of like normally it means like a gesture or kind of like request with our hands that we are doing a prostration. But here it leads to the blossoming of the three trainings.
Okay, so now I think there is more, but I think sometimes too much, and then very difficult to believe, right? So maybe I can read the transmission, and then we break, come back, we can practice together. Sanji jodo zojen jono no changjo wado dona jobsan jen dagi jen so jen beso nam jen dola penya sanji no ba ko sem jen tam ji dewa don de veji don de mor je don wado don ge ji don de wer je don me bi dewa don me de wen ne chalani na de don ne ne por che wor je ron ke rangge je woro be ma dan de veji ngor je deng de hong le do je garbo je nga ba de wa hong gen zo ba de le wo to ben ba ba je sim je tong ji chon do yong so jor ba do je zong ba gon do kang le ze le nyam wo je re ba da gar wa je je chon ji ye do je ze nga ba to gan de je yong de yo ba je e de go ro dang ba xiao ba je jen de ba ta dang zhen bo je jen ba ya jian ba yi xie ba dang wang ge la jian dang za wang ba wang tam zui ba dang ye re mi de qiu wang ge le wang sa ba da dang ga da bi gen ga de sa ma ya ye ye an bi ken ga de wang ma sa wa da dang ga da an bi ken za de ma ma xie so ba da bi hen bi ju wang go ro ge kang che la ma ling ye wei yang wang la Arani la dem bara cho ombandara sa sa ba de wala gam de be alo den gen ni me de ga da ba ne da yo ko no yo da ame so no chi no so ti ni yo da no no yo la min cho ke u do za de so de li什么什么je de je ti ji ye guo gu chang se chang na do ri je la wo to ban da yu song le ge yo ma ri gu wa re cho ma da sa me ma ma la ma da so ni ma de le me wo so ge me wo so je me ma so mo se de yo mo ma so ba da ge da ma na ma ma sa me da ba ma so me 사도 홍예 당강을 원투 삼년이 되다 장상지 당장 선번놈 조도 게 홍례도 지준고 홍예 강탄 라템 텔레도 지준 하비 샤비 베통원의 동랑게 지원의 효비 centro 동미리를 니동소든 냠체 도서지 후바다 넘버라 조무하고가 남네 동 휴담지도 의미도 강화를 조 고모다네 미게 뭐가 예담네라는 게 그냥 뭐 저도 예도 뭐들이 예도 많이 되게 뭐 너니 예도에도 뭐다는 저 계속 뭐다에 들이 예선배 희네를 기회주 탐색당 냠차 딕답 탐지 타바이노 희노 지네랑 게 룽아 이송라 예메도 저게 만에 연료도 너도 예서 뭐도 연료도 뭐지 대사랑고 말쇼 지난데 고기 있어 말이죠. 그래. 근데 담하게 되는 거래. 됐어. No. 담하게 되는. 티네 배전데 고기 말이죠. 대단히 야고 가서 말이죠.
The chupa.
초바 타당 티네 고성 용도데 고서 말이죠.
Nikar kogi.
요만 말이야. 됐어 그냥 So do we have some questions?
My question is, all the meanings for the prostration, like when you touch your head and when you touch your knee, did the Buddha describe that, or is that a commentary from another teacher?
I think that is a Buddha term, but I think this teaching itself is the different commentaries. But I'm not sure in the in the Ganjo or Tenjo, but later the Tibetan and the commentaries from the Tibetan masters. But yes, of course, this we call it 37. What is so that is the Buddha's teaching first. So beginning, actually interesting. This story is. So Buddha made the first teaching to the 5 disciples, right? So I think he's first kind of like discuss. So then including, so Buddha and the 6 people, right? So maybe 4 stay there and discussion Dharma, I think this kind of 4 Noble Truth and 37. And then there's 2 monks kind of the begging food. They bring the food and eat. And then next day go to, so then later on. So a lot of discussion, sort of like 5 the disciples most understand. Then Buddha said, okay, now I'm really teaching. So like, kind of officially, I don't know what we mean. So then he said, okay, you make throne and so on. Then he teach the 4 Noble Truth. So that is actually like the beginning, the discussion. So also I think those are very, important, and also particularly, holiness. So sometimes the good thing, a lot of we have available, many texts, like or the 84 teachings or 100 volume, and then this commentary, Indian commentary, 200 volumes. But those are, even though Tibet people maybe not really study much. But the Tibetan masters, the commentaries, hundreds, thousands, And then a little bit more, each lineage, there is all sorts of the teachings. So a little bit, far away, Buddha's teaching. But holiness said, I think we kind of like too much the branches, So he said that instead of like small branch, we can little bit closer to like tree, whatever trunk, whatever original. So I think that's true. So also this is also a Dhammapada, and this one also everybody's the study. Whatever these days, Hinayana, Mahayana, I don't know this Sri Lanka, Pali, and Chinese, and Thailand, and Tibetans, and all they very well. That's kind of well, everybody understand. But sometimes La Vajrayana stop. It's only know the Tibet, but not much in the other countries. So anyway, so.
Do Hindus do the prostrations? Since Buddha came from a Hindu tradition, do Hindus today, do they do prostrations?
I think so, but different. So that time is that Hindu prostration is really kind of, I think the respect. So have to have the touch, the whatever your teacher. that touch to their feet. Right, so sort of bend, posterior, right? But I think not doing, I'm not sure exactly, I don't know, but not doing us, like maybe different. They do postations, those things they do, and then they have to have touch to whatever teacher or that's their feet. So that's kind of like the really respect, but also, I think I don't know West here like a bit different, but the feet is not unclean. So that's a really kind of really high pay respect. But interesting, this story is kind of like this changing. But before, I think my grandfather went to India. So maybe 1940s, I think, probably 1940s. So he walked to India. So that time is India. What called this? The Punjab. This Sikh Punjab area.
Punjab,
What called this region?
Rajasthan,
Something like Golden Temple. That area.
Amritsar,
Amritsar.
Amritsar.
Amritsar. So those area is the really respect in the mountain clash. So this really devotion. So this coming from the Tibet. They coming from the Tibet, so this the nearby mountain clash. So Tibet people come, and then they do like they temple the steps, right? And then some people, I think there's a temple, I think not allowed to wear the shoes. So anyway, the steps, the top, he put the water. Down, so these Tibet people walk, right? And then underneath people drink this water. You understand?
So, when your grandfather went to this temple of Amritsar,
Right.
which is in Western India,
Right.
a Sikh temple,
Right.
they have a lot of devotion for Mount Kailash as part of their holy,
Right.
sacred cosmology. And so when Tibetans would walk up the temple, they would wash the temple steps down so that it would gather the blessings of the Tibetans' footprints that had been to Mount Kailash, and then they would drink the sacred footprints of the Tibetans. Well, we could get the hose out.
But also this, we think, wash the feet, then maybe blessing, but then maybe blessing is gone.
Right, the Tibetans couldn't have.
Right. But joking, I think I heard the story. One is this real story actually. I think who is Westerners, but so one Tibet family never cleaned the cup, didn't wash, so there's kind of inside. So then one Westerner said, "Oh, I want to buy the cup." So he sort of bring, not clean, whatever. But that woman said, "Oh, okay, So then he washed. And then so the Westerners, "Where cup?" "Oh, yeah, that's clean." "No, I don't. No." "You already clean." But before, no. Not wash, but.
Oh, a Westerner, the Nukchokimi, the Porba Nyo Samsung.
Nhiều dòng xuống khai tăng mà suy mà có bạn rồi đàn ra mình đây giờ rồi chilo là tăng mà giờ mà rồi hàng sang thắc qua giờ rồi thì này có interesting cha rồi thắc qua thì thanda thắc qua rồi mà có thắc qua the long term this thắc qua rồi 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 problem thì này có thằng anh nhiều có làm rồi Tene ko ta consoti ko labdi tene ya ta ko nyona tsangma go gro mo lam sam te tu yo sarwa tsangma tu
The pulpitso. Uh-huh.
tene nyu yo mares.
So in the story, Jupon heard that a Westerner one time wanted to buy a special wooden cup, and these wooden cups are like, you know, kind of sacred for Tibetan families in a way, like special. And so this Westerner saw this cup, and it had all these kind of like, you know, natural oils
Oil.
and kind of interesting designs or whatever, because it hadn't been washed. And so this
Probably
Westerner,
now wash, I think.
so this Westerner was like, oh, I want that, like, you know, they thought it was really interesting, and they like were like, okay, I want to buy that. Can I buy it? And so the Tibetans were like, okay, yeah. And then they were thinking like, well, we better wash it. This guy's gonna like, you know, buy it. So then they washed the cup really well, and then they were like, okay, here. And then the Westerner was like, no, I don't. You washed it. I don't want it. Like.
So okay, so now we maybe short break, tea break. Okay, so do you have some questions, comments?
There's questions from Zoom.
Okay.
John, but this one is, I can get this one first. Okay. So this one is from Mike Schweenweiss. He's doing the Nunjuro practice. He's in particular, he's on the section on Vajrasattva, and he had some questions for you.
Okay.
He's not attending. He's in the Garchan Institute, but this is recorded, and we can send it to him. His question is, Rinpoche, when reciting the Vajrasattva mantra and visualizing, sometimes my state of mind will open up and I will feel like being silent and resting my mind and stopping the mantra and visualization for some time. Is this good, or would you recommend to continuously engage in the recitation and visualization?
The Dorji Sampo Gonki Kapla. Dene Kongi Sampadana O Ngates Shakna.
Yeah, maybe okay, but they used to traditional, so you can whatever practice session. So I don't know, 1 hour, 2 hour practice. So the continuation recitation, and then after that we have dissolution here, right? So after dissolution, that dissolves, I think, Vajrasattva. So that time is, yes, then you can meditate. But I think he's saying maybe during the practice.
Yeah, he says during the practice.
Yeah, during practice, yeah, if you need it, but the best is just, I said, just keep going, recitation, and the meditation, dissolution. And this kodat,
So this is, the traditional way is to rest, after the end of the session. When Vajrasattva dissolves into us, then we become inseparable from Vajrasattva and evenly rest in that. That's traditional. If he absolutely needs a break, then he can, but in this type of meditation, traditionally, one would meditate while reciting the mantra, and then later, after the recitation is over, then rest.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another question from a friend, and it's kind of related to, you talked about abandoning certain things, and so this person said, I have felt that using substances is a way to connect with non-Dharma friends and often acts as a social lubricant. I find myself much more comfortable and relaxed, especially after drinking some alcohol. I sometimes think that drinking and substance use can make me relate better to people, and I find myself more friendlier and open. When I was sober, I made choices to hang out less with certain people, and it felt isolating at times. Is this wrong understanding? Is it more meritorious to stick to my vows of no substance use, or is it okay to use them if I perceive some benefit? Any wisdom regarding the subject matter would be greatly appreciated.
The text draw. The ze lapna the ne pache ze kashe yugire chang chepo mare and kong chang tang ze pejuche ki kapla pache tama drabo yugire and kong te pejuche ki kapla kong mi center nyamdo de tukire kipo tangere getche shegi ore kong ze tang chang pejuche meki kapla dene kong des o nga chekpo yen sem des chuo chagi ore yene kong o de dombo nga the Ramasi ki dompa the test pangna ani mishenta nyamdo chena the gagamarwa youngna.
ande hakoso
Uh-huh.
ta terwa re chulong la na yiris ta ko teni do yungbu yoris the ne cover temporarily and temporarily yina yang karsena da nga so drug tha tene ta drink tiso de la tene ko karsena the making tanda nga so ji temporary ji surwa yori thing ngoni ji surwa yowa te karsena nga so ti ka lo functioning me wa cha no yori body kora wa me du je ta ko ji ni ko song du tene ji nga do ha ko mo do ti so do ti slow yu sigiri yina yang ko tonda la ti penge mare sta ngoni chi nan jurwa ji ta chi ina the difficult wa ji chokora ya ina yang ko da zet ni sa ne tini chi na ento yo mari ta zo che hyo ta ki ze sa ma go wa to ne tini ji chopo ina re so hyo ka ne ina ta te ya hyo re ma to be ke zele tene peche ta pengi mare stindi ta sanje ki song ro zo taxi ken yo na tene ko karsana nga zo ku la ran yi yo wa ti function che mare song ro
So this is something where temporarily it might seem like it is easier and more enjoyable to utilize intoxicating substances and alcohol to hang out with other people. It can seem temporarily like it opens up, social gateways and so forth. However, when we become intoxicated on different substances and alcohol, then at the same time, our level of functioning of our body and our mind is declining. And so in our immediate experience, it might seem relaxing and blissful, but we are actually becoming, less functional. And so it's not good for our bodies and our minds. And so ultimately, it's not going to be beneficial. That being said, change is difficult, and it really takes effort. And the best is to be able to have a group of friends and be able to be social and so forth, but without relying on intoxicants and alcohol and so forth to do that. And so longer term, being able to interact with friends and training ourselves to be social without intoxicants and stuff is much better.
okay so the stories the toxicants wars the killing, that story you guys know? No? Okay, tell her. Okay. Who knows?
If people know, say it.
Like 3 people are traveling, right?
Huh? Nothing.
The meetang shingna nana.
Is this the one where there's 3 friends traveling, or the one where there's the man and the woman?
Yeah, the man and the woman.
And then
The man and the woman.
should we kill the goat to eat it, or have, drink? And so they got drunk, they killed the goat, they had sex, and the one was a monk, I thought, something like that. Was that the story?
Where is the 3 people?
Well, I think there was one with,
I don't know 3 people.
and then the man and the female, right? The monk and the woman, but
And the goat.
they had a goat.
Oh, God is then 3.
The monk, the rabbi, and the priest walking. No.
Wait, I'm missing the lesson.
Right.
Hmm?
Labna. young-
Karas.
The
I think that's it, story, right? I think that's it. Right, so we thinking, the toxic is less, So because somebody like monk, or Sakyo, or there's this big deal, in the for monk, and killing, of course. So seems to be ordinarily thinking is, oh, that's just substance or alcohol, those less. So we're talking about before, this is less than virtues, other ones very big. So, but actually I said it much worse than both. So then this, he had no functioning on, mind. And then they dunk, so then these mistakes, So that's true, actually, this very, I think, this story, I don't know if you guys interested or not, but, but true, if really these the big mistakes. And also I said everybody want happy, peace, good, right, that's sure. So they don't want to mistakes, just. But the difference is, those things not in our wisdom, how to be a good person. If you use something, drugs, use whatever particular these days means a substance, I think. So those, and then whatever need to responsibilities, forget. Look like this, they said, enjoy, right? But really not. So there's the big obscuration, so how big is like, for example, maybe somebody, come to kill them, but they no function, they cannot run away. So that level, so how, we think, I realize the good, but how is good? Reality, Otherwise, something dangerous, okay, just escape, run away. But if you use the drugs, how ignorant, they don't know how to run away, or maybe, it's something, got the fire in house, or maybe, okay, so this, we see, how extremely dangerous, actually, extremely dangerous. So, and physically, mentally, both, so, so have to change, I think, that's best. That's only not really Dharma, okay? So, okay, you can, whatever percepts, not only that, not even though just they put aside, but on life, So, not good.
There's a question from John Allen. It's a little bit long of a question, so if you have any questions about it. He said, "Hi, it's John Allen. We regrettably couldn't stay for the afternoon, meaning yesterday, but he still has a question about the morning's discussion on karma. He's interested in how the Dharma addresses the origin of karma. According to karma theory, all phenomena or effects are contingent upon causes. Karmic causation is the ongoing succession of causes and their effects. How does the Buddha's teachings account for the very first instance of karma? What set the cycle of karma into motion? Was there a first cause principle, or is the law of karma considered to be unoriginated and an infinite regress? Like an uncaused cause or an unmoved mover, if all things are the result of causes and their effects, how is it possible for karma itself to have no prime mover or origin? If it does have a primary cause, what was that cause from a Dharma perspective?"
They tumble the sama lay yuna, Kora Township sama lay drabble yuna, then a lay tang tumble countries chason, laking munla, tumble la, lay tumble cutter.
le thambo khare
Uh-huh.
re the when they start wa le sana that's the original word the thambo thera ba le khadung ko jikten thamji le jong sungdo wa jikten da thamji le je gi yores ti le sa ro da thambo ji sa ro ba
Uh-huh.
so korwa cham la do korwa cham
Uh-huh.
ti ndi ti ne ta korwa cham se le ji sa ba ba
Mm-hmm.
ti le thong go ti le ngo zo ba res le ngo zo le sa ba ni mo go zo ba res
Mm-hmm.
tere ba ko shi
And pache marikpa drabo. Te latene daxin latene.
ne ta le sa thong la tere wa ina le thong bo ti kun jung kong le sta re da originally marek ba ne yung gor wa le
Mm-hmm.
e marek ba da re ina ya marek ba chi bu ke karsena ko le tlap thog mar wa
Mm-hmm.
marek ba thale de ne le ji sa kar wa
Mm-hmm.
te le ji sa do tim de ji mi gir wa
And it le tambo di
le thong bo tere sa
karade.
ta ko when they start they create the le
De le ki
Tambo.
yip le ki nampa karade.
le number whatever he made at the hip
Uh-huh.
le number wa
Mm-hmm.
number khandi chi na number khandi le khandi ji sa yo na wa
Mm-hmm.
korban chamya ke le ji sa yo wa ko le chembo sa yo chung chung sa go te le thi ka bla wa
So simshin ki sempa simshin redre ki nyam la pache samsam la mixar ki le yore.
le yo
Not-
individually different yeah
Uh-huh.
we always say the common karma and
Mhm.
common karma is we just human beings common karma
Mm-hmm.
but I think he's talking about the individual karma
Mm-hmm.
individual karma
Kung pache de sama de kam soon la de le ki chea tambo karere. De simshin tambo ki le tambo
심지어야 고 레저야
le saya. Simshin sangma nang la su tambo chebare.
알레 코르발라 보사 if he's talking about samsara so samsara is we said beginningless
Uh-huh.
so
So mixar ki le chick. Mixar
No.
ki simshin chick tang le
no
chick
this is
yomare.
samsara is beginningless
Uh-huh.
so yes individually in the karma when they create the karma that the individual starts
Samsara.
the samsara or whatever karma
Mm-hmm.
so
Le-
but in this whatever samsara so samsara this will be beginningless
Mhm.
so
So there's a couple different ways to answer this question. But essentially, there's two perspectives. One is a collective perspective of like, how did the universe of samsara begin? Like, what was the first karmic action? What was the first karma? What set the cycle of karma into motion? That's this question. Or we can think about karma from the perspective of each individual sentient being throughout the universe. So when we look at each individual sentient being, the first action that they had, all these actions, we don't become sentient beings without ignorance and unawareness. So that's the basis, and grasping at an eye. But without engaging in some type of action of body, speech, and mind, it doesn't start cyclic existence. So the actual action for each individual sentient being might differ. So like our own individual histories might be like kind of unique. However, collectively, cyclic existence, samsara, is beginningless and endless until we attain enlightenment. And so to say like what started samsara, on one hand, it doesn't work that way. It's without beginning. So it wasn't a particular, scene where, someone threw a ball and that started samsara or something.
No, right. So the individual la samsara de ko gozok bari individual ina tega na yi ko and samsara individual ko samsara de inga so sanji ya yorwa sooner or later samjang kan sanji grace samjang ina tega na yi ta le se ya de te zo de le de tan girwa tang ya yorwa le ta sa kha jo girwa sa kha jo individual center le de ne le de chang ra yores.
Saksa. Uh-huh. So, while we can break down the individual karma of sentient beings to some degree, because each being throughout cyclic existence has their own path and kind of their history of how they got to their particular situation. Also, each sentient being at some point, because of their Buddha nature, will attain Buddhahood and enlightenment. And so that can kind of differ, and how that looks with each single sentient being. But then, ultimately, the first, to talk about theoretically the first karmic action, it doesn't work that way. And so, but one thing we can understand is that we all have these patterns of actions that we have accumulated, and all these actions that we've accumulated, we can and will also eventually purify.
Tin da zo karsena te sung do le ke nane karsena jikta le nyamba se go na te yang te ne ko yon ten che cho te le te chaya yuwa te cha di yore le chaya la ko the individual choice do yin ba te ha ko grace ko hyen je le tem ma go ba.
So within karma, we can talk about karma as being negative. However, even negative karma has one good quality. And the good quality of negative karma is that it can be purified. And so, although we have all these different karmas, ultimately, it is up to us whether or not we purify them and how we purify them. And so ultimately this purification that we do is, something that, isn't necessarily reliant on others.
Yeah, they're able to can purify,
Yeah.
So that our own hand.
We have control over the purification of our own karma. Hopefully that answered some of that.
So there's another question from Zoom. And someone was asking if you can repeat the meaning of touching the head and the hands. Is that the question? During prostration. There are several Vajrasattva texts. Is this another question here? So yeah, just repeating the meaning of touching the head, the hands to the head during the prostration.
So first one like this, right? So touching head. It's also I said, okay, so the hand moved like that. So this basically is not touching in the not ring finger, the middle fingers. Every hand or fingers can touch. They say maybe this is a sort of close, what called this palm, or no, what called this one?
Yeah, the base of the palm.
Yeah, so that's, but this is just teaching, right? Fancy thing. So all you can do, just your beginning, start prostration, that's okay, like that. But if you many prostrations, no worry. So you more focus prostration. So not worry about how you are doing the hands. And then I think we touch hand to whatever the first forehead and the throat and heart. So sort of like I think then this we touch the forehead, purifying the negativities from your body, and the throat, then able to purifying the negativities speech, and you touch the heart, and then this purifying the negativities from the mind. And also the more meaning, so you touch first here, the karmic imprint in the Buddha's body, and they touch the throat, so this karmic imprint right in the speech, Buddha's speech, and the heart, and the karmic imprint, Buddha's mind.
And then if you can quickly just remind everyone what the meaning was when you two hands touch the ground.
Okay, we have a lot, right? Okay, that's good. So we can do the abbreviation. So, okay, we start again.
Du ki makso. So touching the right hand was, subjugating all the Maras, the armies of Maras and obstructors and obstacles. So it's like the Buddha touching the earth mudra. So then the touching the left hand is the establishing the 4 ways that the Buddha gathers disciples, kind of like attracts disciples. So.
And tinida pomo yepa sala tsapa bekabla tine rido kedungatia situyak payores.
So then touching the right knee to the ground, then this clears away the sufferings of the beings of the 6 realms.
Ta pomo yongpa nga tsamabular pomo yongpa de karsena terawa changjo sodu tobyak yores.
So then the left knee is quite involved. This helps one accomplish the 37 factors of enlightenment. So you want to make sure you get your left knee down when you prostrate.
And that terawa, 37, the beginning up to the enlightened.
So the 37 factors of enlightenment include from, that was in English, right? From the beginning all the way up to enlightenment.
Okay. So you have more questions? That here, that's all Cheshodi, Natsu Chuchi Ladu, Tani Kontua Nangiri, that same thing, Kon Jak Goyaji, Yorwa, Tindu Jig Semle Tandea, Semle Yil Hadea, Jungiore, Tindu, Ta Natsu di Kanjor, Tenjola, Soba Yota, things on the way some of the Dharma teaching everywhere on Jirawa. Yin and Yang Takoji, Yamne Chibi Kavla, Huji, Beja, Chimodo, Chayomar, karsana nyamnya kasi me ko kasi ji ning gi bu yu wi na yang ko nyamle chi bi kin ne kala ko thingma chi sena chi tama to nyamle che yo marwa tin de ta nyamle ji khandi chi gi yo na arwa ke che sho ti nyamle de sem ja de wa ji arwa familiar sem kisi sem jagona tene nga so ta nyamlen routine nyamlen ma jina ji thengma ji china ko sem jag marwa ti indu tene je nga so ke tang da khabore one hand may be difficult everybody has job and so on so but also in a case sho jela ji it depends tusu ringtong la ma to be ke ko ji chungna 2 times a day. Temi wina yang once a day la nyamne chiade be kitchen bo jas.
So the most important thing is that when we are practicing the Dharma is that we work with our minds and we recollect and we have mindfulness inside. And so these days we have all kinds of teachings. We have the translations and teachings of the entire Kanjur, the Buddhist teachings, the Tenjur, the commentaries on the Buddhist teachings, and all sorts of vast teachings you can find everywhere. However, when it comes to our practice, really we can only practice one thing at a time. And so what's the most important thing? The most important thing is that we become familiar with our own mind when we practice. And so as we strive to gain more of a deeper understanding, familiar with our mind and have mindfulness and so forth, on one hand, it can be difficult because we all have jobs and lives and all kinds of busyness. However, whether it is long or short, ideally, we try to find some time to practice twice a day. And if we can't do that, we should still, try to find at least time once a day to do some meditation.
Pega na ji kita nga so di ji ta the formal practice wa ji din nyamne che arwa. Tananga so ta thandala ya de ji 2 times 1 time de la ko din practice che arwa. They sit down.
Daily?
Ma do din arwa sal din cushion on cushion. Tiga na ji ta ga ke che sho ji la de nga so ji pan ro be ne ka la this
So in terms of daily practice, this refers to a time where we take a moment to, take some time to sit down on like a cushion and meditate. But then in addition to that, so ideally we have twice a day or once a day to do that. In addition to that though, whatever we are doing, whether or not we're, whether we're traveling or going about or doing our jobs and so forth, we should try to cultivate mindfulness and awareness with whatever we are doing.
And also the recitation. So interesting. So my experience, I was in the Tibet, take care of animals, and also I did pilgrimage, heavy backpack, walk all day. So that time is recitation on my Nibema was like naturally, no difficulties. So, but I don't know. Sometimes working here, I like to forget, So kind of our mind. So I said this also familiar, So familiar means you have to take time, So also I think really if you can, anytime, not anytime, right? All the time, maybe. What means different? Anytime, all the time.
All the time is constantly. Any time is periodic every day.
Okay. So that I think I said before, so we familiar, okay, like we believe, so now it's you guys, the senior practitioners, so thinking about, not only benefit this life, thinking about next life or during the death. So if you're familiar, and then, or no matter your difficulties, still you're in the mind. Or maybe you really say, may you die, but still you are in mind, you're familiar. And then of course you can die after die, and if we're talking about Pado, whatever, so with you all the time. So in order to, this get situation, be familiar, So practice itself, okay, whatever you practice, so that's okay, But that you remember, okay, you practice like Chirensek practice, you just familiar Chirensek. So they are kind of interested, right? It's like internet, okay? So you really good the Chirensek visualization, remember your mind, the Chirensek, you can connect it to any deity, just, okay, the wireless. Really is, because all this really is same. But if you not familiar one deity, but there's why special practice the high yoga, and this is the Rattva, and this is peaceful. Maybe if you really need it, maybe not there. So that's, I think, really, really kind of remember. So also we saying this, we take refuge, okay, you can say you eat, offering to Buddha, right? Offering to three jewels. So the really is yes, of course, the three jewels, there's no need really food, also just what we give, but to remember, the Buddha Dharma, remember three jewels, or remember deities. So that is just really, really good. And then, interesting also my experience, if you're doing the chanting, or your work, whatever, and that during the or whatever recitation, if you're doing the recitation, even though not necessarily the visualization, so on. But basically block the afflicted emotions. So otherwise sometimes, so just you work hard and then it's just sometimes the mistake, sometimes, angry or like many things going on. Also maybe you're doing things, but you're thinking other things. So, but I think very important is really familiar. And then, as much as yes, there is a lot of mentors, power, and so on, but also right way, immediately you feel, So no big difference. You will watch the phone or watch the TV or mentors, I think big difference. That in the Tigana Yitanga to Terry, that is some Jatanga to Pobe Kita, Momando in a Carsevita. Maybe there are special days, you see, in a young attack, Halaguir is in a Tibetan month. Carsenata, San Mardi, Tsepa Somla Yaboyore. Tene tas sontanya la soba tsepa som speciale partis chigogre tsepa la be speciale tala partis chigogre tene tsepa la la fulmure tala partis chigogre tene 22 la ya speciale tala partis chigogre Tene yang the 25 ina yang the go special dire the practice chi go gre. Tene yang no mu la practice chi go gre la go yorwa. Tika la ko ri ta special ina yang chi ma tika ti tu la kharchi gorsen ta nima tzola tene ko nyam na chi go yoris. ina yang ta nga chon ro so no tang bi na 당원이 스페셜 데이트 같이 하더라도 산데 차도 요리스다. 디리 데 힘바도 제기는 you guys don't know the Tibetan calendar, you know, even though I don't remember Tibet day today, you know. So 이나테네 레라고 요마르와 카디후 무리누 이나타티 그 노워리로와 디리다 나초 계체쇼데 갈세나 고지 유 룽바 코랑게 대중도와 나도 조치야다 룽바 코랑 룽바 코랑게 기 홀리데이 세나리 투수 세나리 스페셜 데이트 같이 하디나 산데 차디오레스 그 산데랑 가서다 냠내치야지 직배지 also keeping the mind of that 산데레 조치야 투히 잠반다고지 요구구여서스.
So in this way, in the Tibetan tradition, in Tibet and for Tibetans in general, there are special days in the lunar calendar, and there, sometimes are like 3 special days each month, and so Tibetans will sometimes think, oh, it's the 10th day, I should do some special practice, or oh, it's the full moon, it's the 15th lunar day, I should do some special practice, or oh, it's the 22nd, time to do some special practice, or oh, it's the 25th, I should do some special practice, or oh, it's the new moon, time for some special practice.
Well, those are special days too, right? Thinking.
And those are special days, maybe. Special days, time for practice. And for ourselves, though, what is a special day is really Sunday. In this tradition, in this world and country, Sunday is a special day, can be our sacred day. And so Drupal himself, he is Tibetan, but sometimes he doesn't even remember and keep track of which lunar day of the month it is on different days. And so something that we can think about to keep kind of a continuous, set of, something that we think about and are mindful about is to, think about how every Sunday we can use that day for practice. It can be a special day for us.
All right, so the interesting too, so this we talking about accumulation or merit, whatever we karma. So we're talking about looks like very big name virtues when we said nah, but these small things, not big deal, but really big deal, right? And same thing. So this if thinking about today's Sunday, the practice day, so that's if you remember. So it looks like simple, right? Okay. And then we're thinking that's not much merit, just only thinking my concept or just Sunday's practice day. But that's tremendous. And then because the mind, so just kind of go there kind of like naturally. And also I think there is the retreat practice, the spiritual teachings, I think, ritual, what is mountain?
It's called the Mountain Dharma teachings.
Right. So, or they said something, someone, okay, I want to go monastery. So start that you have met it. Okay, for example, okay, you morning 6 o'clock, okay. Oh, today is Sunday, I need to go to the center. But actually you're leaving maybe 9 o'clock, you got it 10. But then after 10 we practice, right? So, okay, we practice whatever until 12. Then we think, oh, just we practice 2 hours. Right? Looks like, but really not. You start in the 6 o'clock. You 6 o'clock to maybe you go home. So like how many hours? That's actually your activity, Dharma practice. So maybe you get 3 o'clock or, so just then you practice 9 hours. So also this karma input, so that is merit. So then we, that this is remember, or this you start, walk, or start whatever coming. So that's this Dharma practice. And plus, so the night, practice whatever Tuesday and Thursday, so on. So, well, I think this, you're on, so kind of familiar. So interesting, you're familiar, the more interest, more enjoy, you build up. But interesting, this the build-up is not easy, hard excuse. But maybe you tucking loose is easier, right? Means maybe you everyday practice, maybe just one day is not big deal, Maybe you didn't practice, then next day is harder, or maybe not today, And then you just kind of lose. Lose is very easy. Build up is harder. So anyway, so if you already build, already daily practice, do it. And also I said before, we have to do many things, We done many things, our life. Also we have planning, or right now we have to do many things. Sure. And then, so the 100 jobs, 100 responsibilities, so we're thinking about clear which is priority, right? Of course, we take care of things, sure, of course, But same time, really, which one is important, our life? I believe it's Dharma, practice. So if thinking this important, most kind of what is priority or, right, most important, so then need to focus, and also enjoy. We done many things good, but I did Dharma practice, more enjoy. It's meaningful. So also this many positives, so then also the opportunity to able to practice, and also very opportunity to be practice place, or the opportunity to study the Dharma. So we're talking about this, not all the time, actually. Sometimes there's also with the karmas, right? The karmas, dark karmas, the longer vision, okay, longer thing. These are karmas, many karmas, continuing karmas, or errors. And they said dark karma and unfortunate karma. So we are fortunate karma. And then we look this world, even though these days or today, so some areas there's no Dharma at all. And some areas not allowed to practice, in the Dharma. So also the many, 99% no interesting Dharma. those people, they really want happy. So Dharma is the cause of happy. Meaningful, but not many didn't see. So there are no karmic connection. So we are karmic connection, everything's here. So can't sort of like take, joy, happy, understanding. We have everybody, good opportunities. Okay. So now I think we no time to practice, so that's okay. So just dedication. Maybe short dedication, that's okay.
Okay, turn to page 24 in your prayer book. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Trikumpa, Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, Drupan Rinpoche, and also Eric, and especially for you, Drupan, I want to ask you to please live long and continue to stay in Florida and teach us, even though it takes a long time for us to really learn the Dharma and to put it into practice. But thank you very much, and please keep teaching.
Thank you. Chanjo Sancho
Rinpoche Ma Ke Panam Ke Gyurchik Ke Panam Gonde Gondo Pelwars. Thank you. Sure.
Chanjo Sancho
Ma Ke Panam Ke Gyurchik Ke Panam Pa Me Pariyam Gonde Gondu Pelwar Shok Tu Sim Cho